Right, welcome to a back day. So something that I haven't told you is that as of last week, I've started a bro split. So today is going to be a back session. Today's session is going to start with a cable pullover. And the logic behind this makes perfect sense in my brain. So you consider your biceps to be a slightly smaller and probably weaker muscle than your back. Certainly a smaller and weaker muscle than your lats. Your lats are actually fucking huge. They're not just like that bit underneath your rear delts. They extend all the way down and connect in your lower back. So they're a massive muscle. So in my head, I go, okay, if anything's going to fail in a heavy row or a heavy back exercise, it's probably going to be the smaller, weaker muscle, your biceps. So logically speaking, if I can start a back day with an exercise that fatigues my back to a certain degree without fatiguing my biceps, surely for subsequent rowing exercises, it's going to place my biceps, which will be fresher, on exercise number 2 at a slight advantage to the muscles of my back. So that's the logic that I'm rolling with for exercise number 1, a cable pullover, all lats. There's no bicep in that whatsoever. Maybe it's not the soundest logic in the world because I feel a small bit of a bicep pump, but certainly my biceps would be less fatigued and less pumped than they would be if I started off with a chest supported row. As you know, in most pull exercises, I start off with a chest supported row. So when I go and experiment with something new, it's not a prescription to you to go and do the same. You can test it out, you can see if you like it or not, and possibly apply that to your training. We're doing just 2 sets of cable pullover. Exercise number 2 is a seated cable row, and I generally dislike using a grip like this, but my general preference, and again the key word is preference, a mag grip I generally find a little bit more comfortable, but also because it's basically just outside of shoulder width, you can get a slightly better contraction, you can drive your elbows a little bit further back. So I'll give 1 point to Gryffindor, and by Gryffindor I mean those science-based lifters who say not to use close grip on a cable row. I tend to agree. Not to use Arnold as a justification, it just doesn't even make sense when you say it. I've been gaslit by the science-based bros into not justifying anything because Arnold did it. Look at the size of him, and look at the size of you by comparison. Something that I take from him, and something that I imagine, especially on cable rows. So many videos of Arnold doing cable row. But my first 10 reps, let's say, pretty good form, pretty upright, very little, if any, momentum. But I just want to get as close to failure as I humanly possibly can. And if I need to swing a little bit, if I need to introduce a bit of momentum as my muscles start to fatigue, just to be able to get an extra couple of reps and hence bring myself slightly closer to failure and maximize my chances of getting results, I will do that. So you'll generally see on a lot of exercises, sometimes I introduce momentum just to carry me through those very last repetitions. And that just basically increases the surface area for you to be able to get as close to failure as possible and hence see better results. We are wasting no time with this session. So basically, included in this back day is 2 sets per exercise. So I think I started the workout 15 minutes ago. I'm already on exercise number 3. So that's something that you can experiment with if you find yourself dragging your arse through your sessions. I find that they go much quicker if I do slightly more exercises. This is only a recent thing again. No need to overhaul your training program if it's working. But I find myself moving through at a higher intensity, at a higher pace when I have more exercises to do, but less sets. 2 sets per exercise flies just like that. You get that done between warm up and rest, probably under 5 minutes. So if you're doing 4 exercises, 2 sets per exercise, you could probably get a good workout done in 25-30 minutes. Anyway, we're swapping out the close grip, same as it was on the cable row. For this time, a slightly closer mag grip. So I really do love the mag grip. I tend to have slightly better grip on it. And this one is slightly narrower than shoulder width, so it's a little bit different to the attachment I use on the cable row. Again, this is just the one that I find preferable for the lat pull down. For any scientific reason? No, it's just the one that I enjoy using the most. So experiment with a range of grips, and usually with something like lat pull down. If you find something that's objectively most comfortable for you, keep doing that. There's going to be very minimal difference between like an overhand shoulder width, underhand shoulder width, slightly narrower mag grip, maybe a neutral grip. It's going to be very minimal differences in terms of emphasis on the lats and stuff. There will be slight differences, but the most important thing is finding a grip that's most comfortable for you, that you enjoy using, that ideally can maximize how long you can actually hold on to the weight and then get stronger with it from there. So here's a very, very slight correction. So the mag grip that I originally used was this one. So you can see that it's got a more severe slant on it, whereas the one that I actually use is a little bit, well, this one happens to be a little bit thicker, but there's less of a severe slant on it. Because I was like, fuck, my shoulder doesn't feel too good doing that. And the grip was more underhand, so like that. Whereas this mag grip, you can grip it more neutral in a way. Two techniques you'll see me use on the lat pull down, which improves my ability to introduce more intensity to a set. Number one is the fact, as discussed on the cable row, I'll use a little bit more of momentum when I reach that place in a set where with relatively strict technique, I'm kind of unable to contract the weight as much as I would like. Second thing is partials. So I've spoken about partials a million times. But even if I can't bring the weight fully down to my chest, I'm still going to keep pumping them out far down as I can bring the weight. So it might not be all the way to my chest. I'm still hitting my lats and I'm still hitting my back to the degree that it's capable of continuing to contract, which again is just improving the stimulus and increasing the intensity of the stimulus that my back is getting for that particular set. Something that someone said, which is a very fair point, when it comes to doing partials like I'm doing, it can make it very difficult to know whether or not you're progressing with an exercise. And I don't have a very clear, coherent answer for that question, aside from the fact that you need to be aware of general levels of progression that's occurring with an exercise. Is that weight, every single time that you step up to do it, do the first couple of repetitions start to feel any bit easier? But also, my mentality to training has always been such that if I'm someone who's able to swing the shit, within reason, I don't want people going away fucking damaging gym equipment and hurting themselves, but controlled momentum, someone who uses partial repetitions towards the end of each set. If you train with that level of intensity every time that you come to the gym, you're going to be rewarded in how your body responds physically. People who are able to go to those levels in the sets that they're doing, it's very hard for them not to get stronger, not to get bigger. So it's a fair question. There's no right or wrong answer to it. When training back, as discussed multiple times on any of the pull workouts that I've done, most rowing exercises, most pull down exercises are going to hit 90% of what you need hitting. But just in order to emphasize and bias different portions and different muscles within your overall back musculature, you just want to have a couple of variety of grips. So I'll generally always have a row variation that is overhand. So that's just going to be a little bit more trap dominant. But I'll also include, as I did on the seated cable row, a row variation with a more neutral grip. Now, if you're looking at that overhand grip row that I just did with an overly biomechanical lens, you'll see that there's probably not a huge difference in where my elbow finished up relative to where it would finish up in a neutral grip. Sure, there's a slight difference, but this is the point about using different grips. It's not that if you don't do a specific grip that a certain portion of your back is just going to be completely lacking in terms of growth, but it's more so an insurance policy to ensure that if there is different ranges, if there is different aspects of your back or different regions of your back that might be slightly neglected, 5-10% neglected, that you're just covering all bases. One of the biggest breakthrough moments that I had with back training was I always thought that because a lot of people lead you to believe that your back is a fragile muscle, even though it's incredibly strong if you train it properly. I always thought that you needed to keep a very rigid position with your shoulder blades, and so any row would look very strict and very rigid like that. But that leaves a little bit on the table when it comes to something like a chest supported row, where you have that freedom, you have that flexibility to allow your shoulder blades to round forward as much as possible. Now, whether or not you tend to believe that a good stretch is important for muscle growth or not, objectively you will notice a difference in the pump that your back has, in the sensation of fatigue that your back experiences if you start to go from training with a very rigid set of shoulder blades to allowing yourself that freedom to allow your shoulder blades to round forward at the bottom. So you'll see that I get an incredible stretch at the bottom of pretty much every row exercise. That's not accidental, that's very intentional. So experiment with it, make use of a chest supported row, which can allow you to almost guide what I mean by allowing your back to stretch out. Again, progress to that point. Don't just do it if you've never done it before. Do it with the light weight and build up. Also, use straps where you can. There's no reason why I haven't been using them. I've just forgotten about them. Even that makes a huge difference. So I lied. It's not just a back workout, it's a back and rear delts workout. So now my back is polished off. I have 2 sets of rear delt fly left to go. So it just makes sense. Your rear delts, I've never really considered them a shoulder exercise, like they're part and parcel of your back. And a rear delt fly, for example, or a face pull mirrors a row more than it mirrors like a shoulder press. So that's one of the ways in which I'm making a bro split a little bit more efficient, but I'll go into a bit more detail in a future video about how to maximize the bro split to see the best results. So people keep asking me, Sean, will you put the amount of reps that you're doing on the screen with the exercise? And to be honest, it would be disingenuous if I did, because as much as I might have an idea of roughly how many reps I want this set to last, I never stick to it, because if I've got more in the tank, as you'll see with the momentum, as you'll see with the partial reps, I'll just keep going until I can't do another one. I don't think I've ever actually stuck religiously to a rep range, probably since I started the gym. Even when I'm doing bench press, and that would be the most likely that I would stop the set at the anticipated number of reps, because I'm using a heavier weight and I want to be doing sets of, let's say, anywhere in the region of 4 to 6. But even at that, if I do the bench press and I get to rep 5 and I'm like, this feels fucking good, I'm going to do another 2 or 3 repetitions until I start to question, am I going to get pinned underneath the bar here? So with rep ranges, really don't lose any sleep about it. Maybe set a weight that you can get high quality contractions, that you can get, let's say, 75% of the set can be high quality contractions, whereby your technique is pretty good. And if 20-25% of that set, especially towards those reps as you get closer to failure, involve a little bit of momentum, aren't the cleanest, involve a little bit of partials, then so be it. So that is the workout over and done with, in and out in 40 minutes. And more importantly, not feeling as though I'm entirely beaten up as I would do from a push, a pull, or even a leg day. I'm completely conscious of the fact that because there's an element of novelty towards following the bro split, that's perhaps improving the enthusiasm that I feel towards it in general. But I can safely say that as someone who's training for nearly 12 years, I've never not enjoyed a bro split workout. However, the bro split, as most people follow it, as it's originally intended to be set up, certainly leaves a lot of gaps in terms of efficiency. So in a future video, I'm going to go into detail about how you can set up your bro split workout to maximize your your results. But for this video, that's a wrap. If you're picking up anything from Gymshark, code Sean10, MpActivewear, code Sean. If you've nothing to do, give this video a watch. If you're looking to get shredded, join the waiting list to the 6-week challenge that opens on the 8th of September. And if you don't want to do any of those things, thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.